All right, I think you hit the right button. It seems like forever since I've done a live stream. Like it's only been 2 weeks. Took Memorial Day weekend off, um, and it was an eventful Memorial Day weekend. So I guess it's a good thing that I did. Um, but it feels like forever. So like I hit the button. I'm like, oh, is it supposed to do that? And I guess I hit the right button. Um, so here we go. Skull was first one in, and made sure to say that he was first. Welcome in, Curtis. And Uncle Smiley was second. Welcome in, Uncle Smiley. Um, yeah, I was busy out here doing stuff, and good thing I set an alarm on the phone to remind me that I was doing a stream because I got sidetracked doing things. I haven't given my fish like cucumbers in a long time, and so I started giving. I cut one up and was giving them to them, and I was like, well, they'll be able to, the people watching the stream will be able to see this tank up here. All the other tanks with plecos in it, they went straight to it and started devouring the cucumber. This one has my super reds in it, and I don't know if they aren't smart enough or they're less smart than the other plecos, but just now, which is like, I'd say half an hour after I put it in there, is one of them venturing over that way. It's like, oh, what's this? Looks like Greg Guppy guy. And my brain goes, they used to be 3G. But welcome in, Greg. Hey, Chattanooga Ed made it in. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. I was debating all day long today about what to talk about because I try to think of something to talk about because I figure nobody's going to be here to watch, and I'll ramble on about something. And I had different thoughts about what I would talk about. One thing I did today, you can see this over here, like my previous streams, it wasn't painted. This side was painted, but that side wasn't painted. So I've been going around and trying to do some more painting. That was a fiasco on itself, in itself. I'm notorious for messing things up and having small little accidents. So I had a quart of black paint and trying to pry the lid off of it. And I don't paint very often. I hate painting. But I'm trying to pry the lid off of it. I'm not the best at prying the lid off it, apparently. And then when it did release, it went up in the air and did its little flip-flop thing and landed right on the side of my hand. So the whole back side of my hand turned black. And I'm like, no big deal. It'll wash off. So I'm going through and painting stuff. And managed to rub my arm against the side of one of the racks back that way, get the whole side of my arm black. And then a little bit later, I'd put the paint up and I was doing something else and it completely forgot that I had been painting and grabbed a hold of one of the corners of the rack to look into a tank a little better, and then realized I just painted the inside of my hand. So I had one arm that was fully painted. But little by little, we'll get the fish room painted, and then by that time, I'll probably decide to tear it out and redesign everything. Chattanooga Ed says, okay, so Ed's asking if I would want a table at the Chattanooga swap. I totally would, but I'm not going to be able to make it. Or unless I can really change plans and stuff like that. I already have something committed for that weekend, and I'm trying to juggle stuff around to be able to go, but it doesn't look very promising. I always enjoy the Chattanooga swaps, and it looks like they're going to have a good setup down there this time again. So yeah, thanks. I wish I could make it, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get to make that one. There's that one coming up in July, and then August, Indy's having one. So I'm looking at, am I going to get to go to the Indy swap? It's towards the end of August, so I've got a little time to see what my schedule is going to look like. But I recently went to 3 swaps. We talked about that. And then yesterday we had an auction up here at the Lexington Club, and that went okay. We've had better auctions, and we've had a whole lot worse auctions. We tried some new stuff, and that worked pretty good. There was a festival going on in town, and another aquarium hobby related event going on in the state. So attendance wasn't as great as what I had hoped, what we had in the past, but there was still a good number of people there, and we had a good time. And I was pretty good. I didn't buy very many fish, and I'm missing people that came in. Let me go back and see who I've missed. Looks like Vanosky came in. Welcome. Moneyless Maven. If my memory serves, which it never does, that would be Shirley. Welcome. And looks like at the bottom there, Sanders Aquatics came in. Welcome. Let's see. So where was it? There we are. Curtis said, I always have paint on me when I'm done. Yeah, that's part of why I hate painting, is I get it all over me. I get it all over my clothes, all over furniture, walls that aren't supposed to be painted, the floor. I have more paint everywhere other than where it's supposed to be. So I hate painting. But I would like my racks to be black. And I'm working on I've talked about it before, but a little door that'll fold up here. I put one in over there. You can't see it from this angle. But I thought about doing a video on it, but I don't know if I will or not. I'm really cheap on how I do things. Like, I don't like to spend money if I can find a free way to do it. So I don't know how to describe this, but like, if you go into like hospitals or nursing homes or whatever, and they've got that plastic guardrail or along the walls for like wheelchairs don't like tear up the drywall. So our local hospital has recently replaced all that. All the old plastic, it's like 6 or 8 inch. It's about 8 inch tall guardrail things. They wound up at my house. So they're like a grayish color, but I'm painting them black and going to put hinges on them and put them there. So it's going to be like black plastic, if it works out right, to hang up there and hold up. So I've got a piece over at that rack over there. And right now it's doing okay. I might have to refigure out how I've got my light hung, because it's kind of keeping the door from folding down all the way. It's kind of tilted out just a hair. But I think I'm going to like it. Shirley, I'm going to do that every time. I'm going to question whether your name is Shirley, because my brain says it's Shirley and then says, are you sure? Something in here beeped, and I have no idea what it was, because I don't know of anything in here that beeps. Unless it's my fan. My fan just turned off. Great. That's only 80 degrees in here. Bruiser came in. Welcome, Bruiser. Yeah, I forgot. Like, the air conditioner's on the other side of the building. So it'll be like 75 on that end of the building and 82 up on this end. And so I put a fan over here in this corner. This corner. I stick my arm way out there like y'all can see it. But I put a fan in this corner. And apparently, since I hung it up really high and I can't see the buttons on it, I was just hitting random buttons and started running. Apparently, I set a timer on it. And it turned off right now. Perfect timing. Shirley says it's all good. She's forgotten my name too. That she's super bad at remembering names. I'm horrible at remembering names. I'm good to remember my name. I'm horrible at remembering everything. I got a notebook at work to write stuff down in so I wouldn't forget. Two things happen with that. I forget to look in the notebook, and I forget where I placed the notebook. And I was joking with somebody the other day that I need to get whatever herb it is or whatever that you're supposed to take to increase your memory, but I can't remember what the name of the herb is. I worked on tubs today, and I've got an air pump that has like 4 outlets on it that I usually take. I've got like 6 of them, but I usually take them to conventions to run like the hotel room that I'm in, or the tubs and stuff in the hotel room. So I put one of those out there to try to run the tubs. I need to make a video about the tubs. It's on my list of videos to make. I won't get around to making it until I take the tubs in, I'm sure. But apparently it's not powerful enough to run all of the tubs I've got sitting out there. The plan was to put it out there and splice it and use gang valves and all that kind of stuff to run the multiple tanks. So I guess I think I'm gonna get another linear piston pump and run a air loop like what I did in here, but out there for the tubs. But it'd only be a seasonal one that only runs during the summertime, which kind of plays double duty in that the summertime, when there's less likelihood for power outages or something like that. Well, it wouldn't really help with power outages, would it? Anyways, what I'm getting at is I can use that linear piston pump as a backup for this unit if this unit was to go out. The one that I would get for out there would be smaller, probably quite a bit smaller. But in a emergency situation, it would do the job. Shirley says, my name is debatable. I mostly remember because people are always yelling, Shirley, don't do that. So it's either Shirley or don't do that. Yeah, my problem with my name, that I can't remember my name, is up until like 15 years ago, like my whole life up to 15 years ago, I always went by my middle name. And then when I started the job that I'm at now, they said I had to go by my first name on my legal documents. So 15 years ago, my name changed to John. And so whenever I introduce myself to people or people say my name or whatever, my brain takes time to think, which name should I use? Do they know me from school? Do they know me from work? So I'm transitioning everybody to John, but it's a process, and my brain still deals with it. Ed says, do all those tanks ever mess with your internet? I don't think so, but maybe. Like normally I don't have any internet issue out here. But a preface on that, I don't have like wired internet, Wi-Fi, that type of thing. The only internet I even have on my property that I know of is through my cell phones. So like right now, the camera that's recording is on a Verizon cell phone, and I'm reading chat off of an AT&T cell phone. And both of those have full signal in here. But there have been a couple of days when signal has dropped to nothing, but I don't think it's because of the tanks. Someone said, oh, it's because your building's metal. I don't think it was that, because right now I've got full signal on both of them. And it's probably just a tower issue or a weather condition or something like that. So mine doesn't have the problem, but it may also be the way that my building is structured. It could also, like, I can see some people that would have issues, the way that their building might be built, or if they're in a basement. Like when at my last house, my fish room was in a basement, and as long as I had a clear sight to that window in the basement, it had good signal. But if I went behind tanks, if tanks were between me and the window, signal would drop. And then Ed asks, what are your fish that are going in the tubs this year? Well, I thought I had a good plan for what was going out there, and then stuff happens and stuff changes. Like, I got a bunch of, what are they called? Black ruby barbs, I think they're called. And I put them in my tank over here on the bottom down here. And I was just looking a minute ago, and I had like 8 of them. But the most that I can see right now in that tank is 1. So I don't know if black ruby barbs are known to like hide, get down in caves or whatever, just cluster down in plants, or if like 7 of them jumped out or died and the bodies were never recovered or something. I don't know. So if I've only got 1 of those, it's not going to do much good to put them out there. I had a colony of Odessa barbs that the plan was to put them out there. And I think the video about them comes out next week. So, long story short, they're not going out there. I've put some Adakas out. I'll probably put a different tub of different color string. I don't know the names of the color strains or anything, but I've got a couple different color varieties of Madakas. So I might put like 2 tubs of those out there. I've got some Gambusia out there, some white clouds, Florida flagfish, and I just moved cherry barbs out there. So a lot of barbs, and I'm thinking I might take like maybe some of my guppies and put in another tub. Right now I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more tubs, if you want to call them that. One of them is a large planter that don't have anything in them right now. So I'm gonna play around still with what I'm gonna put out there. I'm not committed to anything except for whatever's already out there. And the Flesh Aquatics, welcome. Ed says he would like to try rice fish. Yeah, they're neat, and it seems like they're in demand. And then whenever I want them, I can't find them. And then I found some, and I bought a bunch of them. And then I bagged up a couple, because you can't find them around here. And I took like 5, I think it was, to the auction just to try to share them with somebody else. And there was like 3 bags of rice fish there, 3 or 4 bags. It seemed like at the auction, a lot of the types of fish that showed up was all the same. Like there was a lot of Malawi cichlids. There was a lot of like I think there was like 3 or 4 different people brought young super red bristlenose, and they're never at the auction. They're never at the club meetings. You never see them. And there was like 3 or 4 people brought them. I'm like, wow, what's the odds? And I think like 3 people brought Madaka rice fish. You rarely ever see those at any of our auctions. So it was wild that everybody was kind of thinking on the same thing, and there was fish there that I mean, not playing favorites. I mean, everybody brought great fish or whatever, but Sanders Aquatics was at our auction, and I think he brought some of the best fish that was there. And looking at some of his stuff, I'm like, okay, I need another building. I need more tanks. I need bigger tanks because I've got to get into some of these African cichlids because these are stunning, and they've been in the bag for who knows how long, and they're popping color. And there was he had compressiceps, and I've wanted compressiceps forever, but I don't have a tank available to put them in. I'm like, do I get them and try to keep them in a bucket until I can get a tank, get the tank set up? And I was like, no, that wouldn't be right. But Ed, speaking of the rice fish, where I got my rice fish was in Knoxville. One of the guys in Knoxville had some. Have I been successful at breeding barbs outdoors? Yes. I bought a whole. I'm reading Ed's thing. Sorry. I bought a whole bunch of rocks. I'm going to try again this year. In one of my tubs. Yeah, my Odessa barbs. That's where my Odessa barb colony came from. I had like 3 Odessa barbs I put out in one of those 110-gallon stock tanks you can get from Tractor Supply, and I didn't really have any rocks in the bottom or anything like that. I put some plastic plants in there. I had some floating like water lettuce on top. I had a half a cinder block down in it, and it was growing hairy algae, and it was a mess, and I figured everything died. I did have a little sand on the bottom, a little like place sand, and I went to dump to empty the tub out, and there was probably 100 fry in there of various sizes and stuff. And so I've done that 2 years in a row, and they breed like crazy outside. And the plan was to do it again this year. Stuff happened, so what to change what we do there. Marbles work well. Sanders says, yeah. So this year I've got like in some 27-gallon tubs. I put some like larger river rock, and I put some smaller river rock, and I'll sprinkle some even smaller little pebbles in there to give a gradient of rocks and stuff like that. So try something different there. Oops, hitting buttons. And the Flesh asked if I was at the auction with Sanders. I was. Seen me in the video, yeah. I watched it and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I looked like that. I need to like go to the gym or something. I need to. Of course, I had not done well to prepare for the auction, and being one of the people involved in putting it on, I had paperwork to do and I had this and that to do, and so we started setting everything up there at noon, and it lasted till about 5 o'clock. So I hadn't eaten anything all day, and it was getting to me in the auction. So I wasn't feeling the best during the auction either. But yeah, I saw myself in the video. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they were recording. I would have like stood still out of the way or something. And then Curtis asked if Sanders will be at the Bluegrass Bash. And Sanders says, "Thanks for the kind words." Yeah, I was going to say it there, but we got tied up doing other stuff and other things. The bags looked awesome with the pictures on them. I think that helped with a lot of people to see what the fish would look like. Because fish get stressed out in bags and color down, or cichlids are bad for getting like a marbled or a striped look when they get stressed. So that was great. I wish I had done something like that, but I was panicking as I was driving, trying to write. Okay, maybe not while I was driving, but trying to write out what I had and label the bags right before the auction and stuff. And I always say I'm going to do pretty stuff like putting pictures and a list of what it is and all that kind of stuff, but I never get around to it. Ed says, "I can't believe I missed all those fish swaps because of my family stuff." Well, you know how to make it up. There's a big event coming up next month. And just swing on by the Bluegrass Bash and just make it for missing all those swaps. There's going to be a swap there, a vendor room, all those auctions and stuff. And I'm sure you all know I'm giving Ed a hard time because he has other plans and can't make it to the Bluegrass Bash. But I'm hoping he changes his plans and makes it. I was talking to someone else last night or yesterday at the auction, and talking about the fish tubers that'll be there. And Ed's name came up, and I said, "Well, I don't know. He might make it." Flesh Aquatics is talking about Sanders' Bishardies. He had some Bishardies at the auction, and I almost bid on some. My Bishardi tank, and I don't know if all Bishardies are like this, but mine, if I try to introduce new ones to them, they wipe them out. They do not like new tank mates. And I did not want to do that to those pretty fish in that bag because they were stunning. And then so I'm behind in chat, but I'm going down the list. Sanders is replying that he is going to the Bluegrass Bash. If you haven't been to a convention, this one being so close, it's definitely something to check out. And it'll be a little different this year. They're going to try a few different things, but the general overall thing is going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot like all the others that they do. What am I trying to say? So like there's different events and conventions and stuff like that, and the OCA Extravaganza, the Keystone Clash, the ACA, AKA, ALA, all of those. They're all kind of similar, but they'll have a little bit different. So by going to the Bluegrass Bash, if it's your first time at a convention, you kind of get to see what the events are like, and they're a good time. Scotty's here. Scotty the Fish Freak, welcome in. I just got home from work, catching up from being from the beginning on double time. I can't do that on lives. I can do it on like replays or whatever. Like I was watching Whip's replay today. Didn't have it on double time, but I had it on time and a half. Elite Menagerie Habitats. I don't know if I said welcome into you, but welcome. sometimes when you set it and forget it, it all works out. And sometimes that works better for me than like actually tinkering and trying to do stuff. Like the first time I bred rice fish, I was trying to go in there and pick the eggs all out and all this kind of stuff. The ones I picked out, none of them hatched, none of them made it. But I had fry in the tub. I had fry in the bucket beside the tub. Somehow got in there. I had fry in another little tub over there that I didn't put them in. Well, I didn't know that I put them in. Apparently, I had eggs that I spilled here and there, and they hatched on their own. But the ones that I actually tried to maneuver around and put out there to hatch, they didn't work. So the let nature do its thing method worked for me great with that. Ed has some Odessa barbs in the fish room. Ed's got the mysterious fish room. I think the running joke is no one's seen Ed's fish room in a few years. Does it even exist? And I may have missed a video or something that it was in. But Ed says he wishes he was going to the bash. It's not too late. You can go to the bash. A lot of your good friends will be there. There'll be cool fish there. There will be guppies there. Skull says he'll miss Ed. The event will be different without Ed. I keep thinking to the Triple Crown when we did the group photo. And I really want to get a group photo again because it's nice to look back at the photos that we've had from other events, especially the group photos. Especially when we lose someone in the community, that we can look back and use that as a memory spawning point. And we remember the times at that event with that person. Moving on before I start thinking too hard about that. Oh, what I was saying about that was Ed organized the Triple Crown photo, and I don't know what we're going to do for a photo this year, but we got to do something. Moving on. Sanders says, once the colony is set up, Bashardes will not let new ones in. Okay, so mine aren't just evil, that's how they do. And Elite says, one day I'm going to make it to the bluegrass. I decided this year I'm going to head to Florida and check out a friend's fish farm to see aquafun. Yeah, I want to make it down to Florida and kind of hang out with some of those people too. I've got some non-YouTube friends that live. I guess that's the best way to put it. I got friends that live in Florida that aren't on YouTube that I could stop by and see, and they talk about wanting to go collecting down there too, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it works out good for me. I mean, I'm being selfish or whatever, that the 3 conventions, ACA, ALA, and IBC, wound up here in Kentucky, and we were able to negotiate to get them in Lexington. So, you know, it's a little drive for me, but it's not like, you know, driving 14 hours or 6 hours or something. Nancy B. So Ed says Nancy B was super sweet and mailed me some eggs. I managed to kill them all before they hatched. rice fish eggs, maybe. I'm not sure which type of eggs that they were, but I've killed my fair share of eggs, fish, fry. Of all of my little tubs and trays of frying here, I recently lost. I thought I lost them all, but I've got 2 little trays still with at least a couple frying each of them. So kind of starting over on that. But I think that's in next week's video too. Kidney punch, I'm not sure. Oh, talking about funk apparently. At least that, yeah. Moving on down the comments. Lake said, I was thinking of flip flop. If y'all are talking about funk, he probably deserves all of it, but poor guy. And then Skull says, if anybody wants to join the Bluegrass Bash Instagram chat, let him know. Add him. And it was set up for the Bluegrass Bash to allow us to be able to communicate with each other at the bash and kind of organize stuff. Because at some events we'll show up. Like one year I went to the Keystone Clash, and I spent more time looking for people than I did actually like talking to the people. And then one year I went to the OCA and like saw Whip one time in the weekend. They couldn't find him the rest of the weekend. So with the Instagram chat, we'll be able to say, hey, everybody, we're going to be at this place or that place at a certain time. But it's also being used for other things, like sharing news that's happening or what someone's up to or that type of thing. So it's good communication stream there. Yeah, I understand, Shirley, with autocorrect. I had my phone programmed or trained that it would autocorrect 2 scientific names. It knew I was a fish person. It autocorrected fish things. And then I got a new phone and it says I've lost my mind or something. Elite says, but Bishardi are true colonizers, heartless, adorable, and little possessive fish. Yeah, I just redid my Bishardi tank. So I bought not a actual ton, but I bought about 100 pounds of like the dried coral, laced rock, base rock, whatever you want to call it, that go in like a saltwater tank. But they're also good for the African red flake tanks, just because of the high calcium levels and all of that. So I put a lot of that in the 55. It's on the back part of this rack here. Redid it, rescaped it, if you want to call it putting rock in their scape. And then I put a lot of the Anubias barteri in there, Anubias nana. And so it's kind of planted with rocks everywhere now. So it looks a lot better. I was trying a heavy algae little experiment with them to see if their fry did any better. If I just like let the tank go green, let the walls totally take over an algae, and I tossed out the window. I'm like, this is no fun. I can't see the fish. Let's see. Skull says October. I think the date may be a little wrong, but Skull says October 2017. So like 9 years ago. I'm going to Florida and the Aquatic Expo. So maybe this will be 2027. surely noticed the 2017 also. And Ed says he needs to get down there. So many cool people. And maybe we need to like plan like a fish tuber, fish fam, just meet up. We try to arrange to go to these events, these conventions and stuff like that. But I think we need more just fish tuber get togethers. I know that like Foxy has their cookout up there, and that's kind of a get together for the fish tubers. I think we need more of that type of thing. That we get together and we hang out. That we take a weekend and we run down to Chattanooga to the aquarium, or we rent out a whatever they call the community center hall things, and we all hang out there or something. We could make it a fish swap of the YouTube personalities or something. Elite says, fun fact, did you know that Bashardi Fry will eat their brothers and sisters if they know their brothers and sisters are subpar genetically speaking? Interesting. I know other species will do that even if they're not subpar. So it's neat to know, and I can understand why that would be a thing, and I would guess the parents would probably do it too. We all need to make plans on Curtis's time machine, and it was rice fish eggs that Ed wasn't successful with. It wasn't a bad joke, Shirley. I got it, and I have no sense of humor, so I still got it. Barbara Jackson's here. Welcome in. Ed says, when I went to the OCA, I got to hang out with me the whole time. Yeah, and last year I went to the OCA and was looking for Whip and Ed and Jeremy, and everybody said this going to be there. And I'm like, well, Whip's pretty good at hiding. Let me text Ed and see where everybody is. And then I found out they weren't coming. So if they're there, they're fun to hang out with. But that was a good. That was what 2-3 years ago. That was a good time to hang out, and that was the first time I've ever eaten a vegetable sandwich. And I don't remember the name of the cheese that was on it, but that's the first time I ever had that cheese. It was pretty good. I'm trying to figure out if I can make it to the OCA this year. I've used pretty much all of my days for the Bluegrass Bash and the planning for it, but I might be able to squeeze one more vacation day out. But we have an event planned for that same weekend with my club, so I have to figure out how do we like organize to run that event if I'm not there. Is everything still taken care of? Do I just leave them high and dry and I take off to the OCA? Or do I need to be there? Because some of the stuff that they would need for that event, at this current moment, I'm the only one that knows how to do that, which is bad. But getting the technology and stuff available for other people to do it, we're not at that level yet, but we're working on it. So I don't know if I'll get to make it for vacation days and my local club event. But next year, I don't know for sure what I'll get to do. Next year is an odd numbered year. Odd numbered years is what I've been trying to go to the Keystone Clash. So if that comes back, I might try to do that. I've got the Wisconsin area on my radar that I might try to make it up to Foxy's thing next year. So kind of, I'm looking at Florida. Maybe I go to Florida next year. So I'll have to see when things line up and what vacation days are available to me and all of that. Curtis says the Clash went too fast. I could have hung out. I could have hung. Okay, I'm going to say what I think he. Okay, yeah, autocorrect. The Clash went too fast. I could have hung out with everyone for another week. All these events always go too fast. That it's like you show up, you blink, and it's time to pack up to head home. And that's, what I'm thinking. Like, we need more get together things besides these events. Maybe sprinkled across the country, because there's, people in Wisconsin, there's people in Ohio, there's people in Texas, that not everybody can travel across the country, or a 14-hour drive or something like that. But I don't know. Years ago, on I think it was on one of the Sand Creek Aquatics streams, back when we were still doing those, that the idea came up of a fish tuber bus, that we would somehow all get together and buy a bus and would drive around and pick people up and go to events. And I think that'd be cool. I know it will never happen because it's too much logistically to do that, but it sounds cool. In the Flesh says, I'm going to try to meet LRB and Garden Feeder at Aquashella, get some autographs. I'm going to need yours, bro. And I think both of those will be at Bluegrass Bash. I think I've heard both of those say they're coming. But yes, definitely, like, print out like a headshot of them or something and ask for the autographs. That'll be great. Sanders says heavy algae works good for them. I thought it would, but then I got frustrated that I can't even see what's happening in the tank. Barbara Jackson says, I usually leave the back and sometimes the side of the tank with algae, but I always keep the front clean. I figure it gives them something to dip on. Yeah, this tank right up here, the sides and the back are pretty good algae. I tried cleaning it off a little bit today. A lot of my tanks, I do that, the back and sometimes the sides. But I'm starting to struggle with, or not struggle with, but one of my new nemesis is hair algae. It pops up here and there, and I'm just hating the hair algae. Richard Reynolds, welcome in. In the Flesh says, I want everyone, and here's autograph. So are you doing like individual autographs, or are you taking like which one, at one of the events, somebody came around with a t-shirt and they were having people sign the t-shirts. Me personally, I don't like the idea of autographs on a t-shirt, because likely it's going to get washed. The signature will fade out over time. So, maybe a poster. You could take a poster and have everybody sign a poster, and you got everybody's signature on one thing and a collection of everybody all together. Yeah, Grand Shelby are great. Reading Ed's comment, or he says they're the best. I used to give Shelby a hard time that we had seen each other at multiple events, and she asked Granite, one of them, like referring to me, who was that again? So I used from that point I was giving her a hard time. But that's been a few years back. Uh, October of next year's Florida Aqua Expo. October. I have to look into that. Find out when the exact dates are, and if I can swing that, and where in Florida it would be. Oh, Ed says he wouldn't have been much fun at that one. Yeah, I totally get it. Looking back in hindsight of everything that was going on, um, there was, Whip had some family stuff going on. You had some stuff going on, and totally understand. Uh, and I totally just drew a blank. Dr. A. That's what his name in my mind. But he was there, and I didn't know it until like the last day. I see him across the room, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know him. But the OCA is really easy to get lost at because there's like 4 different things going on at the same time in different rooms, and the hotel rooms are all packed with fish being sold, so people's everywhere. So it's understandable not to be able to run into somebody, uh, once or more than once. Skull says he hasn't been to a convention yet. That wasn't awesome. Yes, some of them might fit a certain personality a little better than the others, but for me, they're all great. Every one that I've been to have been great. Um, some have been more heavily attended than others. Um, I think that the Triple Crown was awesome. It was a little disorganized. They had never done a joint convention before. They, for some reason, had in their mind that everyone was going to kind of stick, like killifish people stick to their things and cichlids will stick to their things, and didn't realize, for whatever reason, that people that keep cichlids also keep killifish, also keep rainbows and live bears, and they want to go to the stuff together, all the stuff. But they've learned their lesson and improved since then. I just hate that that was so close to COVID, and there was an individual that was so excited to go to it, even though he knew he had COVID, and he went, and a lot of people took home parting gifts that they hadn't planned on. As he went to Florida, to the Florida Expo a few years ago, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I haven't been to that one, but I've kind of heard of it. And the one that I think is still going in North Carolina or South Carolina or somewhere in there, I'm kind of looking maybe one year getting to that thing. Barbara Jackson says, all those are so far away from me. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you're out on the West Coast, and the fish keeping population is really dense in on the East Coast. So there's a lot of conventions out there. There are a few that pop up out on the West Coast. Joy of Fish Keeping. I almost missed you coming in. Welcome. Big Steve's Glass Box. Welcome. Big Steve's asking Ed if he's going to the bash. Everybody wants Ed to go to the bash. Foxy's Fishes. I must have said her name enough times that she shows up. Welcome in. I don't know how far behind I am, but I'm trying to scroll down through here to get towards the end because I think I'm running out of time. Shirley says, hey to whoever I've missed while lurking. Same here. If I've missed your name as I'm scrolling down through this, welcome in. Thanks for being here. And Scotty says, April 2027 is the NEC convention. Okay, it's in Pennsylvania. That's good news. If it was in Connecticut, it's a no-go. I know there was discussion of that. We'll have to see on that. April gets crazy busy because it's got spring break. Usually our local swap is during that month. And we'll see. Hopefully I can make that. It's like in West Palm Beach, Coral Springs. Coral Springs. Okay, I have to look that up and see distance and drive time and if I can get off and all that kind of stuff. Individual autographs, just in case one ends up a bad person. Right? Well, a little north of Miami, same hotel. Okay, a little north of Miami. Barbara Jackson says, wish there was more in the West Coast. Yeah, and, there's some clubs out there on the West Coast. Talk to them and see if they can, get stuff together to put on even small ones. I know one of them, maybe the Sacramento Club, I was doing the Finbig. And I think the Portland Club had the, I don't know if they're still doing it, the Fishtoberfest. But I would say that there could be multiple ones on the West Coast. It's not as heavily populated as the East Coast and all the cities close together like that. But you could pull stuff together and make it happen. Nancy B came in. Welcome. Scan down through here. Nancy says, is there an itinerary posted for the bash? The schedule is on the website, aca-convention.org. You go to the menu and there's a schedule tab that you go to it, and it will have the schedule on there of what's happening at what times. Any unofficial things like Nancy's native collecting trips isn't on there, of course. I heard a rumor that Brand Co-op may be doing some sort of tours or something like that. They're not doing that through the bash, so it's not on there. Stuff like the fish tuber photo wouldn't be on there, but the talks and the auctions and swap meets and that type of stuff is on that schedule. And I don't think it will change. Stuff may change a little bit here and there, but I don't think it will. Actually, it probably won't change. They've been printing the name cards and printing the schedule on the back of the name cards. So if something on it changes, it would be a big issue, like one of the speakers can't make it, so they gotta like replace them or something, or do something different. But yeah, it's on the website. I see Curtis posted the link for that. Sacramento Club doing the Findic. Yeah, Sacramento's got a great club. They stream they stream it or video, I don't know, but their meetings. But I like watching those. They get some good speakers, and it seems like there's good people in the club there. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have more get-together type of things that we all can get to and throw one together down in Tennessee and throw one together in like Iowa, and all of us get together down in Florida. for a weekend or something. And it'd be a good time. But the clock's telling me that I've hit my hour mark. And I'm not sure who's going up next or whatever. But I've got to go get ready for work tomorrow. I don't want to go to work, but I got to get stuff together for that. Got to find food and finish up some stuff I was doing here. So I want to thank everybody that showed up and supported. It's I always think nobody will be in these things, but you all never let me down. That you show up and we have a good time talking, and it's good to have the support. Thank you all very much. And as far as I know, I should be here next week. So we'll see you then, and may see you in a later stream or something later tonight or tomorrow or something. But thanks. See you later.